Yeah, we started live. Hare Krishna Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. May I know who all joined this mid-morning?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranamam, glories to Srila Prabhupada Guru Maharaj and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Preethi Vilasini Devi.
Hare Krishna Caitanya Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and chanting so nicely. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Anita Ramya from Sharjah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Ramya Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to your services. Welcome to the call. Thank you so much for joining in. Hare Krishna. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Okay, we can wait another 1 minute. I would like to chant another 1 minute and then we'll start the recording. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Okay, we will chant Govardhana Dharam Vande. Govardhana Dharam Vande Gopalam Goparupinam Gokulostava Ishanam Govindam Gopika Priyam. Govardhana Dharam Vande Gopalam Goparupinam Gokulostava Ishanam Govindam Gopika Priyam. Govardhana Dharam Vande Gopalam Goparupinam Gokulostava Ishanam Govindam Gopika Priyam. Govardhanadaram Vande Gopalam Goparupinam Gokulostava Ishanam Govindam Gopika Priyam. Dhanadaram Vande Gopalam Goparupinam Gokulostava Ishanam Govindam Gopika Priyam. Hare Krishna, is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves before we start the class?
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Bala Vrinda from all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Bala Vrinda, welcome to the call. Thank you for joining in. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves before we start the class?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. This is Nitya Narasimha from Muscat, Mathura Desh, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Nitya Narasimha Prabhu, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining all our sessions and giving your valuable association, Prabhuji. Welcome to the call. Okay, we will start the recording here. It is 9:59. Hare Krishna everyone, welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Before we start the class for today, I would like to read the quote of Srila Prabhupada. It is 26th July. Tulsi is a worshipable plant, so there is no question of using any sprays. The best thing is to simply daily water Tulsi Devi and keep her clean. Nothing else is required. Letter to Vilasini Devi Dasi, July 26, 1975. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Preethi Vilasini Mataji, are you ready? I cannot hear you, Mataji. Okay, Hare Krishna everyone, welcome to Bhakti Sangha. So today we are very fortunate to have Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji to enlighten us on the topic of Sri Caitanya Bhagavata Madhya Khanda chapter 2.78, starting from 78 to 123. Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining and giving your valuable time and association this mid-morning and enlightening us on the topic of Caitanya Bhagavata. I now hand over the call to you. Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Anita Gandharvika Mataji, and all the devotees assembled on the call.
Thank you all for your precious association. Before we get started, I just have a small announcement to make. A very nice devotee. She's hardly 8 years old. She just left the world and she reached the lotus feet of Radha Madan Mohan today. Her name is Madhuri Radha Devi Dasi, and she got initiated just 3-4 weeks back by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. She was fighting a debilitating disease, and she had a glorious passing away. And I request all the Vaishnavas on the call to pray for her. She's an amazing devotee. I had the opportunity, I should say, the very rare opportunity to get her association for a day or two. And she's an example of how Krishna consciousness works at different levels. The mercy of our Guru Parampara is extraordinary, and definitely it is something that will take us back to Godhead. She's a live example. Her experiences are unimaginable. She's someone that we should look up to and learn from. What real Krishna consciousness is, what is faith in Krishna consciousness, what is the meaning of surrender, what our Guru Parampara has actually bestowed upon us. This is not something ordinary. Talking about myself, we take it for granted. We take our Gurujan for granted. We take Krishna consciousness for granted. We take the mercy of Caitanya Mahaprabhu for granted. But each one of this, whatever Srila Prabhupada has written in his books, it is 100% true. And she's a living example of how this works, how one can attain perfection within a few days. You don't need hours, not even a few days, you just need a minute to attain perfection. You just need a second, one holy name of the Lord to attain perfection. And Krishna remembers everything, and Krishna takes you back. He's made a promise. He always listens to Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Vargas. If they recommend, there is no way Krishna is going to say no. So she's a live example. She just passed away 45 minutes ago. So I request all the devotees on this auspicious Purushottam month to send her your love and prayers. That of course she has attained the lotus feet of their lordships, but still, as Vaishnavas, we can all pray for her that the transition is very smooth. And more than that, I think we all should learn from her example. Her name is Madhuri Radha Devi Dasi. She's hardly 8 years old, 8 or 9 years old, that's all. Her mother is Radhika Bhakti, Radhika Prema, sorry. So please pray for her. They are from Florida. All the Florida devotees would know them. So please keep her in your prayers, and if possible, offer prayers, offer chanting, offer some whatever little devotional service you can do in her account. So that way, as a family, we all can help this wonderful transition back to the spiritual world. So having said that, I would like to dedicate this session also towards her going back to Godhead, and anything else, all the sessions in Bhakti Sangha for today in her honor. So thank you all so much. We'll get started with the class. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Meshwaram. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Dharini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. My humble obeisance to all the Vaishnavas on the call. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. We are reading from Sri Caitanya Bhagavat, written by Vrindavan Das Thakur, and this is Madhya Khanda, chapter 2. Ajanulambita bhujau kanakavadhatau sankirtanaikapitaro kamalayadakshau Vishwambharau dvijavarau yugadharmapalau Vande jagat priyakarau karunavatarau Jayati Jayati Deva Krishna Chaitanya Chandro Jayati Jayati Kirtistasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Bhrityastasya Vishveshwamurte Jayati Jayati Nritya Tasya Sarva Priyanam. I'll share screen and we can look at the verses for today. I think we are reading from verse 78 all the way till I think 123. I don't know. I'll figure it out in a while. But we are reading from verse 78.
Yeah, it is 123, Mataji.
120. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Kunachara haya papa pashandira gana suke giya kara Krishna chandrera kirtana. Why should you bother about these insignificant, sinful atheists? Just happily chant the holy names of Krishna. So the background of this conversation is that Nimai had a complete transformation, and the devotees were obviously praying that someday Nimai should change. So the devotees, when they saw that Nimai had transformed so nicely, they came forward and they offered blessings to Nimai, and they told him how happy they were that this transformation happened. So at that time, Nimai, with a grateful heart, he was talking to all these devotees in Navadvip. So if you want to know more about the conversation that happened before this, you should hear yesterday's class, which was very, very beautiful, by Her Grace Kirtidasantri Mataji, with lots of realizations about this conversation. So from the previous verse onward, Nimai begins to speak. So from today's verse, we saw Nimai said, why do you bother about these insignificant, sinful atheists? Just happily chant the holy names of Krishna. Yes, atheists are there, they are blasphemers. They're going to be there all the time, even now, even today. There are so many of them who are sinful and who propagate atheism. But let's not bother too much about them and let us continue to chant the holy names. The holy names will transform the entire world. Text 79. Bhakta dukha prabhu kabo sahite na pare bhakta lagi sarvatra krishnera avatare. The Lord cannot tolerate the suffering of his devotees. Lord Krishna always incarnates for the sake of his devotees. So when the Lord sees that his devotees with a pure heart, they want to perform devotional service and they are worried why devotional service is not spreading, why everyone is not accessing this mercy. At that time, the Lord, seeing their suffering, seeing that they are suffering in their heart, they want devotional service everywhere. The Lord cannot tolerate the miseries of his pure devotees because they are service inclined, they are selfless. And whenever such a distressful condition arises for his devotees, he immediately incarnates and he mitigates the distress of all his devotees. So that is the very reason for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent. You all know Advaita Acharya, he cried for the advent of the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord incarnated as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling everybody else that don't worry, the Lord will immediately incarnate. Actually, it is he who has incarnated. So he's telling everybody, your prayers are answered. Okay, the Lord has incarnated in one sense. I have come to resolve this issue, to spread Krishna consciousness everywhere. In the Adi Purana, the Lord tells Arjuna, let's see what he's telling. Jagatam Guravo Bhakta Bhaktanam Guravo Vayam Sarvatra Guravo Bhakta Vayam Cha Guravo Yatha Asmakam Bhandava Bhakta Bhaktanam Bhandava Vayam. Asmakam Guravo Bhakta Bhaktanam Guravo Vayam. Madbhakta Yatra Gachanti Tatra Gacchami Bhartiva. The Vaishnavas are the spiritual masters of the entire world, and I am the spiritual master of the Vaishnavas. Krishna is the Adi Guru, right? He is the spiritual master for everybody, Jagat Guru. But the Vaishnavas are the spiritual masters for everyone else. As I am the spiritual master of everyone, the devotees are also the spiritual masters of everyone. The devotees are my spiritual masters, and I am the spiritual master of my devotees. O son of Pratha, I go everywhere where my devotees go. So Krishna is a loyal follower of all the devotees. If the devotees say something, Krishna will immediately agree. So he's telling, I am the spiritual master of the devotees. These devotees are the spiritual master of everyone. Actually, these devotees are the spiritual master of every single person. Wherever these devotees go, even I also just silently follow them. Ye kechit pranino bhakta madharte tyakta bandhava tesham maham parikirto nanya krito dhananjaya. O Dhananjaya, any devotee who gives up the association of his friends for my sake purchases me. He says a similar thing about the gopis of Vrindavan. The gopis of Vrindavan, they gave up everything for Krishna, right? They gave up their house, their relatives, their association of the other people in their home, everything they gave up. So Krishna is telling here, O Dhananjaya, any devotee who gives up the association of his friends for my sake, like the gopis, immediately purchases me. So that's why Krishna tells the gopis, there is no way for me to pay you back. Your devotional service itself is your own payment, right? So there is no way for Krishna to match what the devotees are giving them. In the Padma Purana, the Supreme Lord speaks the following words to Brahma. Dharshana dhyana samsparshair matya kurma vahangamashvani apatyani pushnanti tataham api padmaja. By vision, famous verse, by vision, by meditation, and by touch, only do the fish, the tortoise, and the birds maintain their offspring. Similarly, do I also, O Padmaja. So this is a very famous verse quoted by Srila Prabhupada in many instances. This is how the Lord takes care of his devotees, and this is also how the spiritual master takes care of his disciples. What are the three methods? The three methods are by vision. The deities, the Lord, when he sees us, we talk about Radha Kripa Kataksha, right? So when the Lord sees us, when Srimati Radharani passes her sidelong glance on us, we immediately are taken care of by them. So the Lord is telling by vision, just by looking at my devotees, I can take care of them. What else? When the devotees are meditating upon me, or I am thinking about my devotee, sometimes the Lord thinks about his devotees. And because he's thinking about his devotees, he sends one of his topmost devotees to go and bring that devotee back. We see the story of Gopakumar in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So Radharani, she was thinking about her devotee, and she sent her very close associate to go and bring back this boy, like that. So by meditation, sometimes the Lord is thinking about us because the Lord is missing everybody. He's missing all of us. Even in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, Narada suddenly appeared in front of Dhruva. Right? If the Lord meditates upon us, if the Lord is missing us, he wants us back, he'll think about us. And that itself is the Lord's protection for us. So by vision, by meditation, and by touch. There is one purport in the Gajendra Moksha section of the 8th canto, where Srila Prabhupada says, when you are doing deity worship, you're actually touching the Lord. And that touch is so transcendental that it immediately purifies you. So by the Lord's touch, or you touching the Lord, that is also a kind of a protection or a kind of a fostering that is done by the Lord. So by vision, by meditation, and by touch, just like how the fish protects its children by vision, just by looking at its eggs, okay? Just by looking at its eggs, it nourishes those eggs and those eggs hatch. The tortoise, sometimes it is in water, or the turtle, it is in water, and it is meditating on the eggs that it has laid on the land under the soil, under the sand. It is meditating, it is constantly thinking about those turtle eggs, and the eggs hatch. The eggs get nourished and they get hatched. And the birds, you all know how birds hatch eggs. They sit on the eggs, and because of the warmth from the mother, the eggs hatch. So like this, the three categories of species, the fish, the turtle or the tortoise, and the birds, they maintain their offsprings. Similarly, Krishna also maintains all the living entities by these three methods. And you can imagine the deities in the temple, they are constantly doing this for us. That's why we say when you go to the temple, you're not only taking darshan of the Lord, but the Lord is also looking at you. This is what it means. He's constantly nourishing us. We get an opportunity, even if you're not allowed to go on the altar, you still get several opportunities to bathe deities during festivals. So by the touch, by touching the deities, or even the deity worship at home, that is nothing less. The deity worship at home. The deity worship at home, by touching, by seeing the deities, by the deities seeing you, and you constantly meditating on the deities, making the deities meditate on you. All of this is constant nourishment. The Lord is continuously reciprocating with us every minute, actually, by these three methods. Actually, Krishna has so many eternal associates in the spiritual world. He's got so many of them. But still, Krishna is so compassionate that he's missing that few living entities who are stuck in this material world. Just like sometimes if there is a family of many children, like if the parents have 5-6 children, and maybe 5 children are with the parents, okay, are living with the parents, and maybe 2 of them are living in a foreign country. What is the mood of the parent? The mother or the father is constantly thinking about the child who's living in the foreign country, whether he ate on time, whether he's able to go to work, whether he's able to maintain himself. Why? Because the parent feels a separation from that child who is not with him or her, right? Similarly, the Lord, he's very, very compassionate. Yes, he has several eternal devotees. There's no need for him to think about us, but out of his causeless compassion, he's constantly meditating on us. He's constantly thinking, when will you come back? Remember again the story of Gopakumar, when he went back to the spiritual world, the Lord was asking him, where were you all this time? Where were you all this time? I was missing you so much. So like that, the Lord misses each one of us. There's a very beautiful statement in the Upanishads that say that when you go to Vaikuntha, what happens? When you go to Vaikuntha and enter Vaikuntha, the Lord calls you onto the throne and he asks you to come and sit on his lap. Okay, he invites you to sit on his lap, and then he smells your head and he asks you a question, Kosi, who are you? And then you look at him and you tell, Aham Brahmasmi, I am a part of you. So all this is there in the Upanishads. It is there in the various Shastras, how the Lord is missing us constantly and he's waiting when we would go back to him. This is the mood of the Lord. So you can imagine here, the devotees are all so eager. They are all so eager. They are thinking, oh, this world is such a terrible place to live in. I wish Krishna incarnates and sets things right. So at that time, the Lord, he will not fail to reciprocate. That is what Nimai is telling. That is what he, the Supreme Lord himself, taking the role of a devotee, is convincing the people around him. Purushottama chet avattari syad bhuvanesmin bhavan bhuva shivaya Viktasura mandalan jane sujananam batakadasha bhavishyat. O Purushottama, if you had not made your auspicious appearance in this world, then I cannot understand what would be the condition of the saintly persons who are always harassed by the fierce demons. So the devotees are offering these different prayers, telling that they are grateful for the Lord's appearance. The Lord never forgets him. And there is praman in various shastras like the Padma Purana, the Adi Purana, and so many other places. Okay, that the Lord is constantly thinking about us, and he incarnates from time to time to relieve the distress of all the devotees who are constantly tormented and harassed by the demons. He bebuje tumara ani aiba Krishna Chandra Navadvipe karaiba Vaikunta Ananda. Now I can understand that you will induce Krishna to advent and fill the entire Navadvip with happiness of Vaikunta. So the Supreme Lord is actually telling his devotees that I know you will induce Krishna to advent and you will fill the entire Navadvip with the happiness of Vaikunta. Toma sabha haite habe jagata uddhara kara aiba tomara krishnera avatara. By your mercy, the entire world will be delivered, for you will induce Krishna to incarnate. He's telling the devotees. Sevaka kariya more sabai jani bhai vara more kabuna pari hariba. All of you, please consider me as your servant and give me the benediction that you will never leave me. The word parihariba means I will abandon or give up. So Nimai is telling these devotees in Navadvip, you give me a promise, please consider me as your servant and tell me that you will never leave me. So he's seeking devotee association. Savara charana dhuli laya vishwambhara ashirvada sabaye karena bahutara. Vishwambhara took the dust from the feet of all his devotees and they all abundantly blessed him. Very classic feature of the Lord. The Lord loves his devotees so much that from time to time he goes and he takes the dust of the lotus feet of his own devotees. Like we see in the case of Sudama, when Sudama visited the Supreme Lord's palace, the Lord, along with goddess of fortune, they washed the feet of Sudama and they drank it, right? So the Lord, he likes to take the dust from the feet of his own devotees. That is why there is this pastime of the Supreme Lord sucking his own toe as Vatapatrashai. He sucks his own toe because he's like, okay, what is there in my feet? No, actually, that is about the feet of the Lord. So he's very curious and he sucks his own toe. But that Lord who sucks his own toe, he goes and he likes to take the dust from the feet of all his devotees. That is the greatness of the Lord. That is his great quality. Saushila Saulabhya qualities that they talk about. He's so accessible and he considers every single devotee extremely special. That is the nature of the Lord. So he goes and he takes the dust of the feet of all the devotees, and all the devotees, because they didn't right away know his identity, they actually blessed him. They blessed him, saying that, you know, you will be a wonderful devotee and you'll be very, very happy. Ganga sanaka tariya chariya sabe ghara prabhu chali lena tabe hasiyantara. After all the devotees took bath in the Ganges and then returned home, the Lord also returned to his home smiling, because now he had taken the dust of the lotus feet of all the devotees. He had taken their blessings. He understood that the devotees are desiring that he should inaugurate his pastimes. So he was very, very happy. At the same time, when he went home, what happened? He was, of course, happy that he's going to inaugurate his pastimes and he's going to relieve the distress of all the devotees. But apane bhaktera dhuka suniyata thakura pashandhira prati krodha badila prachura. On hearing the distress of his devotees, the Lord's anger towards the atheists increased greatly. So this is the same Lord Krishna who is not different from Nrsimhadev. If someone is troubling his devotee, he's obviously going to get angry, right? Just like how when Hiranyakashipu was troubling Prahlad Maharaj, Krishna, Nrsimhadev, he got so angry. And he appeared in this uncommon form that was never to be seen before, half man and half lion. You also heard this in the previous class by Kirtida Mataji. Anyway, Kamhari Musa Babali Karayahu Khara Muni se Bare Bale Bharabara. He roared loudly, saying, I will kill them all. And he repeatedly exclaimed, I am he, I am he. Muni say, I am he, I am that Supreme Lord. So when Nimai went back to his quarters and he was thinking about the distress of his devotees, he got angry with the atheists and he said, yes, I'm going to kill all of them in the mood of Nrsimhadev. And he said, I am not different from that Supreme Lord. Yes, I have not revealed myself fully, but I'm going to reveal myself fully as the Supreme Lord. So he was telling, I am he, I am he. And he started exhibiting different symptoms of ecstasy. Symptoms of love of God, symptoms of being God. He started exhibiting all of that. Kshane hase, kshane kande, kshane murchapaya, Lakshmi redikhiya, kshane maribarayaya. Sometimes he laughed, sometimes he cried, sometimes he fell unconscious to the ground, and sometimes when he saw his dear companion, Vishnu Priya, who always lived with him, he suddenly started rushing towards her like as if he's going to beat her. So these are all different symptoms of ecstasy in love of God. So sometimes, you cry, you laugh, you're excited, and then you just want to beat up everybody. So like this, he was acting in very, very different ways, which was very difficult for people to comprehend, for people to understand what really happened. Especially one person who cannot tolerate all these different activities, strange activities of the Lord. In a common eye, it is strange, but of course, he's exhibiting love of God. But a mother's heart is always towards the welfare of a child. Prabhupada often says the most pure relationship in this world is the relationship between a mother and her child, especially small children, right? Even if you're grown up also, the mother's love is incomparable. It is a very different kind of affection. That affection cannot be matched. There are so many relationships, but the child and a mother, imagine for the mother how difficult it would be that her own child is going through all this. She's seeing that her child is falling down and he's getting hurt and he's crying and he's fainting and he's going crazy in one sense, like in her vision, out of affection. She's thinking like that. She's thinking, what happened to my child? E mata haila prabhu Vaishnava avesha Shachina bhuja hai kon vyadi vavi visesha. In this way, the Lord was fully absorbed in the mood of Vishnu. Yet Mother Sachi could not understand whether or not he was deceased. She was concerned. She saw all this. She wasn't sure what happened to my child. Some disease, some problem, some agony, something happened to him. The phrase Vaishnava Avesha refers to the form of Vishnu that destroys the miscreants. So obviously, Nimai Pandit, he had taken the form of, he is Vishnu, he's not different from Vishnu. And he had taken the mood of punishing or chastising the miscreants like Nrsimhadev. So he was very angry. But she could not understand anything. She was like, what happened to him? Because she's so used to seeing him as Nimai Pandit. So she got very, very worried. Sneha vinu shachi kichu nahi jane ara sabare kahina vishwambhara vyabhara. Shachi did not know anything other than the affection for her son. This is the nature of a mother. She told everyone about his behavior because she was so worried. Just like sometimes when the child has some problem and the mother doesn't know how to attend to that problem, she'll call up the experts and she'll try to see how quickly her child can become normal. So she'll try to attend to a child in any possible way. So she started lamenting. She said, Vidhata ye Swami Nila Nilaputra Gana Avashishta Sakalea Chaya Ekajana. Look at Mother Shachi's condition. She said, Providence has taken away my husband left me, and my elder son also left me. Only this one remains, only this boy remains, and look at the condition of this child. It's a very difficult situation for a woman. She doesn't have her husband, she doesn't have her children, and even the son who was remaining was acting in these strange ways, and she didn't understand why he was acting. She was extremely concerned and she was very, very worried. She says, Pamati Bhunja Bhujanana Bhujanaya ya Kshani Hase Kshani Kande. And I cannot understand the state of his mind. Sometimes he laughs, sometimes he cries, and sometimes he falls unconscious. So you will just have to think about the nature, about the mind of a mother who's seeing all this. She didn't know how to control her child. She didn't know what was happening. She didn't know if there was a solution to the problem. So she was extremely worried. Apane apane kahe mane mane katha kshane bhale chindo chindo pashandhira mata. He often talks to himself. Sometimes he says, I will tear off the heads of the atheists. The second line of the verse means, I will sever the heads of the atheists. In other words, I will smash them. Chindi, chindi, right? We say chindi, chindi means to cut, to break. Chindo chindo pashandhira mata. So he was telling this, and Mother Shachi got really scared. She was wondering what happened to her child. Dantaka damba dikhare, mala shata mare, gada gadi aya kichu vachana naspruhe. He gnashes his teeth, he grinds his teeth, tucks up his loin cloth like a wrestler, and falls to the ground, unable to utter a word. Why is Nimai doing all this? Because he's so angry with the atheists. So he wants to punish the atheists, and he's doing all this. But Mother Shachi was completely bewildered. She didn't understand what was happening. He's acting like a wrestler, malasata, it says here, a wrestler. And kadamadi refers to the sound of grinding one's teeth. Kadimadi, like that. Kadamadi. He was doing that. He was very angry. So she was very concerned. Why is he behaving so weird? What happened to him? Nahi deke shuni loka krishnera vikhara vayu jnana kari loka bale bhandi bhara. People had never seen or heard about such transformations of ecstatic love for Krishna, thinking that it was madness. Many people gave different suggestions. It's very sad if you read the suggestions, but before we get into the different suggestions, let's do something. Let's actually understand a little bit about the love of the mother to the Supreme Lord. So here we see that Nimai was exhibiting different symptoms of ecstasy. And Mother Shachi was very worried about why he was exhibiting these different symptoms of ecstasy. She didn't understand what happened to her child, Nimai, right? So she was very worried. But similarly, we see in Krishna Leela also, Mother Yashoda, she was very, very affectionate to her child Krishna. And because of her boundless affection, because of the extreme affection that she had for Krishna, constantly she would keep worrying about him. And here, in the case of Yashoda, she was exhibiting different symptoms of ecstasy, which people did not understand why. Okay, so sometimes the Lord, in the case of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord himself is exhibiting different symptoms of ecstasy, and the mother is confused. In the case of Krishna, in Krishna Leela, Krishna was a jolly boy. He was running around and playing. But Mother Yashoda, who was so affectionate towards her child, who's not different than Mother Shachi. Shachi and Yashoda, they are the same. But Mother Yashoda, she would constantly exhibit different symptoms of ecstasy in love of Krishna. let's say some instances that Srila Rupa Goswami has covered, and then we'll see some very sweet pastimes of Mother Yashoda sending off Krishna to the pasture grounds from Bhagavata Madhya. So it's a very beautiful meditation of Vatsalya Rasa exhibited by Mother Yashoda. And then we'll go back to our continuation of the verses in Sri Caitanya Bhagavat. So you can draw a lot of parallels in the affection and the mood of Mother Shachi and Mother Yashoda, the mood and affection of Nimai having for his mother and Krishna having for his mother Yashoda. Okay. So Srila Rupa Goswami writes, he says, when Uddhava went to Vrindavan and he was narrating the different activities of Krishna and Dwaraka, Yashoda, when she was hearing these different narrations, constantly milk was pouring out from her body and she was shedding tears. She had so much extreme love for Krishna that in separation, sometimes she would look at Krishna's makeup items. So Krishna would have different utensils for different makeup items. Like we would have a little, these days also you get, right? Like a little jar for kajal, a little jar for some face cream. So like that, he would have all these different utensils that he had maintained for his makeup. So sometimes Mother Yashoda would look at these makeup utensils and she would fall down on the ground unconscious with a great sound. This especially happened when Akrura took away Krishna. When Uddhava came and gave a message to Mother Yashoda about the whereabouts of Krishna, at that time also she was constantly crying. She was in extreme ecstasy. Nobody understood how to control her. Tears were continuously flowing from her eyes. Similarly, when Akrura had taken away Krishna that day, she just went and she was looking at every single item that Krishna would use. And just looking at all those items, she would fall down unconscious and then she would start rolling on the ground and there were many scratches on her body. So in extreme ecstasy of love of God, sometimes in separation also, it's very difficult to comprehend what the devotee was going through. So she started rolling on the floor and there were so many bruises and scratches on her body. And in a very piteous condition, she was constantly crying and calling out to her son, my dear son, where are you? Where are you? And she was simply beating herself. So such symptoms happen when one is in separation. There is great anxiety, there is lamentation, there's frustration, there's this feeling of being stunned, restlessness, madness, illusion, like there's so many different emotions come together. So you see, even in the case of Nimai, at this point in time, he was also going through so many emotions. He was feeling that, he had to take care of the situation in hand and he had to advent himself. I mean, he had to start his pastimes of the Sankirtan movement. And he was in extreme lamentation, frustration, anger, madness, all these symptoms were being exhibited. And so some of the ladies, when Krishna would go out to the pasture grounds to tend the cows, some of the ladies, when they see Yashoda in separation from her child, they would say, oh, Yashoda, I think it appears that you are full of anxieties. Sometimes your eyes seem to be without any movement. And when you're breathing, the breathing is very warm. It is very hot. And even your milk that comes from your body is at boiling point. So is all this because of separation from your Krishna? And you seem to have a severe headache. So these are all different symptoms of anxiety of a mother. Her body temperature rises. So Yashoda's, even her breast milk and her breathing, all this became very hot. She was full of anxiety and sometimes she would just stand still, staring at the wall or at the roof, not knowing what to do. So these are all different symptoms of anxiety. And she would have severe headaches and she would not understand why she's having all this. But all these are symptoms of ecstasy in separation. Actually, again, when Akrura was present in Vrindavan and he was narrating once the activities of Krishna and Dwaraka, Yashoda was informed that Krishna had married many, many queens. And he was very busy as a householder. So hearing this, Mother Yashoda, she began to lament. She began to lament, and she was thinking, oh, I never saw my child, because just after passing the Kaishora age, he left me and he went. He went to Mathura and then he went to Dwaraka. And she starts lamenting, thinking, I could not even welcome my daughter-in-law. I could not see his marriage. And she starts telling Akrura that it feels like hundreds of thunderbolts are actually falling on my head. And she started wailing and crying. So like this, these are different emotions of a mother. If a mother is not able to attend to her child, and if a mother is separated from her child, these are extreme emotions. And imagine, this is the Supreme Lord. This is the mother of the Supreme Lord. So like this, she laments and she says, what is the use of my life? I may have millions of cows, and there is so much milk here. I am the queen of this entire area, but all this milk is completely useless, because this milk that is coming from all these cows, they cannot be used to feed Krishna. So what is the use of all this milk? I have so much opulence, I have so much prosperity. I'm not even able to smell the head of my own child and feed my milk. What is the use of my life? So like this, Mother Yashoda would constantly lament. And so this, again, when Mother Yashoda, she sends Krishna to the pasturing ground. She sends Krishna. She is very reluctant to send Krishna on an everyday basis. So every single day, Krishna goes to the pasturing grounds, and Mother Yashoda doesn't want to let Krishna go. So first, she takes a lot of time to dress him up. Okay, she personally dresses up Krishna before he goes to the pasturing ground. And Krishna is very excited to go because he's going to meet all his friends. Somehow or the other, Krishna hastens the arrival of his friends. He calls out to his friends by playing the flute and the bugle. And when all his friends come forward, they all get ready to go to the forest. So at that time, Yashoda, she begins perspiring. She begins perspiring and she's very afraid because now Krishna is going to leave her and go. She's going to have these different symptoms of ecstasy very soon, right, when Krishna goes. So what she does is, when Krishna is ready and he's stepping out of the house, she runs behind him and she goes and she wipes his face with her hand, with the edge of her sari, and she starts following him and all the cowherd boys till the outer gates of the village. And while she's following him, obviously, her affection is increasing more and more, and she's having milk, and she's just not able to let her child go. And Krishna, he constantly requests Mother Yashoda to return. And he tells, it's okay, Mother, now we are almost in the outskirts. You have to go back. Please go back home because Maharaj Nanda is at home and you have to take care of other chores. You just cannot follow me to the forest. But then on repeated requests, of Krishna asking her to go back, Mother Yashoda, she is very hesitant to go back to the house. She doesn't want to let Krishna go. So she starts moving backward. Like sometimes when we walk backwards, how it is. We really don't want to go, but then if someone is telling us, go, 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 we just take a few steps. So she just takes 3 or 4 steps backward. And then she stops. And then she sees that Krishna is moving. He's very excited. He wants to go to the forest. So he's going with all his friends. And now Mother Yashoda, she cranes her neck very anxiously to see if her son is going safely. And then again, she runs back to Krishna. She has some pan that is she has tucked in her sari. She has some nice things that she wants to give Krishna for his journey into the forest. So again, she runs to Krishna. She stops him and she puts some pan in Krishna's hand and then some pan in Krishna's mouth. And then she very nervously tells him, okay, now you can go. I think you're okay. You can go. Then she starts walking a few steps. Again, she turns back and again she runs to him. And then she gives him some fruit. And then again, she does the same thing. She gives him something to drink. She says, oh, Krishna, you forgot this. Oh, Krishna, you forgot to take this in your lunchbox. So again, she starts trying to go back to her house. And she again runs back to Krishna. She stops Krishna after he walks a few feet. She goes back to him and then she gives him a thorough look from top to bottom. She starts adjusting his clothes and then she starts adjusting his, his turban, and then she sees if he's okay, top to bottom, and then she gives him very important instructions with great anxiety. She tells, okay, you should not be very naughty, you should behave properly, you should know where you're walking, don't walk into some impenetrable place where you can never come back. So be very careful in the forest. You may encounter different animals, so be careful. Just like sometimes when kids are going out on a field trip, the parents give them instructions. Don't stretch your hand out of the bus. Be careful. Walk with a group. So like that, Mother Yashoda, she starts giving him constant instructions. She never lets Krishna go pretty much. He takes a few steps, again she runs to him. He takes a few steps, again she runs to him. So she tells him, hey, don't wander into the deep forest. Sometimes there are thorns, and these thorns will prick you. And she tells Balram, you should always be with Krishna, always walk in front of Krishna, never leave him back. And then she looks at Sridham and others and tells them, you all have to stay behind Krishna. And then she looks at friends like Amshu and Subal and tell them that you should be on the right and left of Krishna. So like this, she has so much anxiety because she's going to be separated from Krishna, just like how a cow has given birth to a calf. That is the mood of Mother Yashoda. Just like how a cow has given birth to a calf, and the cow cannot tolerate a separation when the calf is separated from the cow, which happens a lot in this country. As soon as the calf is born, the calf is separated from the mother. It's a very big sin. Like that, Mother Yashoda, anyway, she used to feel these great symptoms of ecstasy, and she would cry when Krishna would leave her and go. But anyway, Krishna, finally, he bows down to her and he catches hold of her feet and he embraces her and he convinces her and he tells her, see, you have to cook, you have to take care of the household chores, and I will come back fast. So when I come back, I need something to eat. So you have to take care of all of that. And so you please go back home. So even after she's been convinced so much, Yashoda just stands like a still doll. She just looks at Krishna with her eyes that are motionless as he wanders into the forests of Vrindavan. So this is the mood of a mother. This is the mood of Mother Yashoda. She is the transcendental mother and she's the greatest mother of all mothers. Even the mothers of this world, they have so much love and they're so anxious about their child. So you can just imagine the love that Mother Yashoda and the love that Mother Shachi is showing. Actually, sometimes when even Mother Yashoda, she just sees Krishna's cow herding stick in the house, she becomes motionless. She just looks at that stick and she's thinking, oh, when will I see my child again? And my child uses the stick and her eyes, they stopped, the eyeballs stop any movement and they just appear like as if it is fixed. So these are the different symptoms of ecstasy in separation. And though at this point, we are seeing that it was Nimai who was exhibiting these different symptoms of ecstasy as compared to Mother Shakti. It is a different case. So it is Nimai who is exhibiting these symptoms of ecstasy, but the relationship is the same. It is the same Vatsalya Rasa. Okay, so let's continue from text 95. Nahi dheke shune loka Krishnera vikara Vayugnana kari loka bale bhandi bhara. People had never seen or heard about such transformations of ecstatic love for Krishna. Thinking that it was madness, they said he should be bound. This is very common, right? If someone sees that a child is somewhat, a special needs child, for example, we start commenting. We are very, very good at it. We are very, very good at judging special need kids. And this happens even in devotee circles. We have to be very careful about how we talk and behave in front of other children. And it is actually a very grave mistake to compare our own fortunate children in a way with special need children, children who have special needs. We should be very respectful towards them, making comments to our own children that, you don't be like that child or you will become like this child. These are very hurtful words, and they can, in fact, take many people out of Krishna consciousness. So we should be extremely careful. When we see children who are not, who are abnormal, of course, here we are talking about symptoms of ecstasy, but I'm just taking a pause and diverting. When we see children who have special needs, who are not like our own children, our respect towards those children should increase multifold. And we should be very careful about the words that we use in their presence or in their absence. Our respect for them should only increase, it should not decrease. Or we should not think that, oh, I am so great, I have a normal child, while this person is so unfortunate, they have a special needs child. So we have to be extremely careful. And this is very common. This is very common even in devotee circles. It can just throw out people from Krishna consciousness. So be very careful. This is for myself also. I mean, I'm not advising, I'm just telling in general that we have to be very sensitive to people around us. Anyway, here Nimai, he was showing symptoms of ecstasy. Okay, he was showing symptoms of ecstasy. But how did the others judge it? They thought it was madness. They thought it was madness. What do we know what the other child is going through, right? We cannot be judgmental. So they thought it was madness, and they said, oh, he has to be bound. This is actually aparad. They said, he has to be bound, foolish. And these people were foolish. The word Krishnera means of love of Krishna, and the word Loka refers to the foolish people who are averse to Krishna. So the foolish atheist people who are averse to Krishna were telling, bind them, looking at Nimai. And this is the Supreme Lord. He's exhibiting symptoms of devotion, and they had no idea what it was. Keha bale tumiya abhoda takurani arava ihana varta jiknyasaha keni. Someone said, oh Thakurani, you're so ignorant. Why do you want to ask further about his condition? Purvakara vayu asi janmila sharire doi paye bandhana kariyara kaghare. Some previous madnesses again appeared in his body. Tie his 2 legs and keep him inside the house. So brutal, right? This is how, when we don't have a problem, we think we become very insensitive to others' problems. So this is what they were telling the mother of the child. And this is the Supreme Lord. He's only exhibiting symptoms of ecstasy. But they are assuming that he has gone mad. They should tie him up. They should tie his 2 legs and keep him inside the house. Extreme cases of insensitivity. Kahai bare dheka dabe narikela jala yavat unmada vayu nahi kare bala. Give him green coconut water to drink until his madness is cured. The phrase Unmada Vayu refers to gastric disease that results in madness. The phrase Nahi Kare Bala means does not display prowess or does not become harsh. Yeah, till his madness is cured. So free advice, right? We all love to give free advice to other parents. So that's what it is. Anyway. Thakat Taila Shire Diya Kari Barasnana Yavat Prabalana Hi Haibeka Jnana. Apply medicated oil on his head and then bathe him. Continue in this way until the disease subsides. The word Pakataila refers to medicated oils like Vishnu Taila or Narayana Taila. See Adi Khanda chapter 12, verse 73. I want you to bring your attention to this verse here. Because there again, there is a description of how again in Adi Khanda, a similar situation had arisen, and there's an explanation by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur about this condition and why they're talking about these medicated oils. So let me share screen here. So here, this is the verse. The previous verse is what was quoted here. This was verse 112:73. They applied some medicinal oils on the Lord's head and tried to cure him as they could. This was a similar, solution that was suggested earlier when Nimai was exhibiting symptoms of love of God in Adi Khanda. And there, the explanation is that the Lord performs various pastimes by his own sweet will. How can he be cured by some external remedies? The transformation of love of God that Sri Gaurasundar displayed in order to manifest his transcendental pastimes cannot be cured by administering external medicine. Physical and mental diseases affect the gross and subtle bodies, but ecstatic transformations do not act upon temporary material designations. Rather, the service propensity of a living entity are displayed through the transcendental body surrendered to the Lord. The artificial transformations by the material body are completely unlike the devotional transformations found in self-realized soul. Considering the body to be self, foolish people wrongly desire to achieve mundane prestige by artificially manipulating their body and senses on the pretext of displaying ecstatic transformations. This is a very important purport given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I wanted to bring your attention to this purport that two things. One is, first and foremost thing is that it was people in general who are foolish. They did not understand. They failed to understand the actual reason for Nimai's transformations that were happening in his body. So they were giving different suggestions. Okay, tie him up, bind him, apply some medicated oil. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is clarifying here that these are transcendental. These cannot be cured like that. It is not out of a bodily condition. It is not out of the body or the mind. Okay. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he clarifies that to us. And he says sometimes these spiritual emotions can also not be imitated to gather some attention or to bring the focus on themselves. Sometimes people imitate ecstatic transformations, but that can be easily found out. So whatever Nimai was undergoing now, it was purely transcendental symptoms of ecstasy. Okay. Parama udhara sachi gatira matayara mukhe ye shune kahe se katha. The most magnanimous Shachi, the mother of the universe, she would carefully follow everyone's advice. So she was not offended because her only thought in her mind was like, let my son get cured somehow or the other. So many people give so much advice. And Mother Shachi, she was just trying to follow every single advice so that somehow her child was cured. This is the nature of a loving mother. She doesn't care. She's like, okay, if I have to do that, let me do that as long as my child is relieved from this torture. So that's how she was feeling. चिंताया व्याकुला आई किछु नहीं जाने गोविंदे शरण लैला काय वाक्य माने. Mother Shachi was overwhelmed with anxiety and did not know what to do. She took shelter of Govinda with her body, mind, and speech. Srivasadi Vaishnava Sabarasthani Sthani Loka Dwara Shachi Kari Lena Nivedane. Now, Mother Shachi, she didn't know what to do. She was following everyone's advice. But then she thought maybe the great Vaishnavas can actually help the situation. So here is the turning point. She sent a messenger to the house of the greatest of all Vaishnava, who was Srivas Pandit. So she sent a message about the situation of Nimai because she didn't know how to handle Nimai. What happened? Ekadina gele thata Srivasara Pandita Uthi Namaskara Prabhu Kaila Sabahita. One day Srivas Pandit went there and the Lord got up immediately and offered his obeisances. Bhakta deki Prabhura Badila Bhakti Bhava Lo Mahasha Ashrupata Kampa Anuragha. On seeing a devotee, the Lord's devotional sentiments increased. His head stood on end. He shed tears. He shivered, and his attachment for the Lord enhanced. When you see a devotee, this is what happens, right? What was the Lord doing at that time? Tulasi re achila karite pradakshine bhakta deki prabhu murcha paila takhane. At that time, the Lord was circumambulating Tulasi, but on seeing a devotee, he immediately fell unconscious. It got only worse because he was seeing Srivas Pandit face to face. भायपाई कटक्षणे लगिला खंदीते महाकंपा काबू स्थिरा ना पारे होईते. After a while, the Lord regained his external consciousness and began to cry. He shivered so intensely that he was unable to remain still. So far, we saw how different people were reacting to the situation. Right? Just one second. Okay. So far we were looking at different situations, how different people were reacting to Nimai's symptoms of ecstasy. Some people thought he was mad, and some people were giving good advice, telling, do this, do that, tie him up, apply some medicine. And Shachi, Mother Shachi, she was in a very helpless state. We saw this, how a mother feels for a child. And this is the transcendental mother. So at one point, she was ready to do anything and everything that would cure her child. So finally, she came to the conclusion that only if Nimai gets consultation with a pure devotee, everything will become all right. So she calls for Srivas Pandit. Now Srivas Pandit comes to the house, and when Nimai sees Srivas Pandit, his symptoms of ecstasy go to an extreme, and he falls down unconscious, and he continues to shiver, and he's just not able to remain still. Now see how a devotee reacts to such a situation. Adbhuta Dhekiya Srinivasa Mane Gane Mahabhakti Yoga Vayu Bhale Kaun Jane. When Srivas Pandit saw this wonderful sight, he thought, who calls this madness? This is the highest state of devotion. Here is a real devotee. The phrase Mahabhakti Yoga refers to the intense state of love for Krishna called as Mahabhav. So finally, Srivas Pandit could understand what it was. He knew this is not madness, this is symptoms of ecstasy. Bahyapai Prabhu Bale Panditera Sthane Ki Bhuja Pandita Tomi Moraye Vadhane Vidhane. On regaining his external consciousness, the Lord asked Srinivas Pandit, what do you think of my behavior? The Lord is checking. So he asked Srivas, what do you think of my behavior? What do you understand of my condition? Keha bale mahavayo bhandi bharatare pandita tomara chitte ki laya mare. Someone suggested that I should be bound up because of my insanity. Oh, Pandita, what do you feel about me? So he asks Srivas Pandit if Srivas Pandit really understood his condition. So there is this Mahavayu. When the Vayu element is not normal, when it creates when it is abnormal in the body, it affects a person, and that person gets madness. Okay, it affects the mental health of a person. So they all thought that the Mahavayu is disturbed in the body. The Vayu is disturbed in his body. Some people thought like that. And but however, you tell me, Srivas Pandit, what do you think about the situation? See, this is very nice. It's a very beautiful verse and also considered an important verse. Hasi bale Srivas Pandit bhala vayi tomar ye mata vayi taha ami chai. Srivas Pandit smiled and said, your madness is good. I also want the same kind of madness that you have. The word vayi is derived from vayu, which means disease of insanity. But in this case, it refers to the madness due to love of Krishna. So he says, your madness is very good. I wish even I get this madness. This is the desire of every devotee. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is our role model, right? So if we are also able to get this kind of madness for Krishna, what more is better? We were in the beginning of the class, we were talking about this very wonderful devotee who just left her body. In a matter of few days, she had developed love of God. In a matter of few days, I was telling you, you don't need even once. Prabhupada says this, right? Even 1 second is not needed to attain perfection for love of God. It can happen within a second. So this little girl who was suffering this debilitating condition, she had developed love of God within a few days. So we have this in our parampara. We have this freely given to us. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he's just given it. He's just given it so freely, and it's easily accessible. Srivas Pandit is telling here, I also want that kind of madness that you have given to me. So we should also be begging for this wonderful madness that is actually freely flowing in our parampara. Yeah. So Srivas Pandit says that. महाभक्ति योग देकी तोमारा शरीरे श्री कृष्णेर अनुग्रह हैला तोमारे. I see the highest devotional symptoms in your body. Lord Krishna has bestowed his mercy upon you. Only a pure devotee can understand what this is. एतिकशु नीलयदि श्रीवसेर मुके श्रीवसेर आलिंगन कैल भड़सुके. When the Lord heard this from Srivas, he embraced him in great happiness. The Lord was very satisfied finally. Finally, he was satisfied. He could understand. Finally, Srivas was the only person who understood what this is. Sabe bale vayu sabe asha mishlila tumi aji bada krita kritya hailana ami. Everyone concluded that I was afflicted with madness, but you alone have concluded otherwise. Therefore, today I'm greatly obliged to you. So beautiful. The Lord is telling, I am obliged to you. He's feeling so grateful to Srivas Pandit that only Srivas Pandit could truly understand his condition. Yadi tumi vayuhena balita amare praveshita ma ajimoni gangara bhitare. If you had also concluded that I was insane, then I would have drowned myself in Ganges today. It's so painful for the Lord, right? It is so painful. Shrivasa balena ye tomara bhakti yoga brahma shivasana kadi vancha ye bhoga. Srivas Pandit said, the symptoms of devotional service that you display are desired by personalities such as Brahma, Shiva, and Sanaka. Yeah, even they have not attained this. The word bhoga refers to enjoying either the disease of madness and love of Krishna or the pangs of love due to separation from Krishna. Actually, that is an enjoyment. It appears like suffering, like they give this very famous two analogies. Some people say it is like holding ice for a very long time. Initially, when you hold ice for some time, it feels cold, but continue to hold that piece of ice for a very, very long time, it will start burning your skin. So you can do that experiment if you have ice in your freezer today. So the love of God is like that. And they give this also example of eating a hot sugar candy. So when the sugar candy is hot meaning temperature hot, you take this, in India, you get this brand Ravel Gone. It's actually nothing but condensed sugar syrup, that's all. So you just eat that, you heat it up in a microwave and you put it in your mouth. How will you feel? It'll be very sweet. So you would want to eat it more. At the same time, it's burning, it's externally scorching your tongue, but you can't stop having it because of its sweetness. So that is how this Krishna consciousness is. The symptoms of devotional service is, it is so sweet, you cannot stop experiencing it. Yes, externally it may appear burning, but actually you just cannot stop relishing it. So it is called as bhoga, it is enjoyment. It's enjoyment of madness enjoyment. That's what he's having. Sabe mili ek kathai kariba kirtana yete kenana bale pashandi papi gana. We will gather today and chant the names of Krishna. Let the sinful atheists say whatever they want. So Srivas Pandit and Nimai Pandit are talking like this. Do we have to stop here? We have to, right? I forgot. No, we don't have to.
123, right?
123. Okay. Sorry, Mataji. I went over time also. I'll do this and then 123 will stop. We will gather today and chant the names of Krishna. Let these sinful atheists say whatever they want. So this is a Padya verse from Padyavali. Let the garrulous populace say whatever they like. We shall pray to them in this regard. Thoroughly maddened by ecstasy of the intoxicating beverage of love of Krishna, we shall enjoy life, running about, rolling on the ground and dancing in ecstasy. So let the foolish people think what they want. They think we are mad, and we think they are mad because they don't have Krishna consciousness. They are not relishing Krishna consciousness. If someone is not relishing Krishna consciousness, we think, oh, what's wrong with them? It's such a beautiful process. Why are they not taking it up? That's what we are thinking. And what are they thinking about this? About us? Such mad people. They have nothing else to do. Why are they going on the streets and chanting like this? So here comes a devotee who says, these populists, this garrulous populists, let them say whatever they like. Huh? But let us all get intoxicated by this beverage of love of Krishna. And let us enjoy life, running, rolling on the ground and dancing in ecstasy. This is the nature of a devotee who has relished what it is. Chachi prati Srinivasa Balilavachana Chittirayate Kadhuka Karaha Kandana. Srinivas then said to Shachi, give up all your anxieties. The phrase Khandana Karaha means shake it off, give it up. So finally, after the Srinivas and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they spoke to each other. They looked at Shachi Mata, who was really concerned even at this point, and they tell her, don't worry, just give it up. Everything is okay. He's just exhibiting symptoms of ecstasy. He's very, very happy. Vayu nahi Krishna bhakti bali lunto mare, iha kabu anya jane bhuji bhare nare, binna loka sthane iha kichu na kahiba, ihanika krishnera yadi rahasya dekipa. I tell you, this is not insanity. It is devotion to Krishna. No one else can understand this fact. If you wish to see many more of Krishna's mysteries, then do not tell ordinary people about this. Why? Because ordinary people, they cannot understand all this. The phrase Anya Jana and Bhinna Loka refers to other people. In other words, those other than the devotees of Krishna or materialistic non-devotees, they cannot understand. Krishnera Rahasya refers to secret, confidential, incomprehensible, wonderful pastimes of Krishna. And the last verse for today, Etika kahiya Srinivasa Ghela Ghara Vayugyana Dhura Haila Shachirantara. After speaking in this way, Srinivas Pandit, he convinced Mother Shachi and he returned home, and Mother Shachi was relieved from the thoughts of her son that was affected by madness. So after relieving Mother Shachi, we will end this class. So any questions, realization, comments, sorry for going over time. And if you have anything to add or delete or correct, let me know. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your attention, devotees.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, Sangladus to Prabhupada. Thank you so much. It was extremely wonderful session. And I really like that how you draw a comparison of the mothers of this world and of course the mother of the Supreme Lord, Mother Sachi and Mother Yashoda. And whatever the mothers of this world experience is actually coming from the divine mothers.
Yes.
That
yes.
love for Krishna and love for Nimai that Mother Sachi and Yashoda has is of course incomparable. So,
but the mothers of this world experience a fragment, a fraction, a spark of the same thing.
yeah,
Right?
but in a very minute, like we cannot even comprehend what they went through. And especially Mother Sachi when she lost her first son and now second is on the verge of taking sannyas. Yeah, but thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for a very, very nice class. And the last few verses you read, even Narottam Das Thakur used to say, Apana bhajana na kahi jata jata. That all the bhajan has to be confidential. Even the madness of Krishna consciousness, if it is revealed to the outer world, they will really think that it's the madness and will maybe admit to some mental hospital or what.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, but this madness of Krishna consciousness is transcendental, is beyond. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming back on the call. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna and Pranams.
Yeah, thank you for iterating that point that it has to be confidential. We cannot freely exhibit many things. It's better to keep it confidential. Very true, Mataji. Thank you. Just 1 second. If there are, okay, Darshini Mataji, just give me 1 second. Okay, yes, Mataji. Okay, 1 sec. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yes, Darshini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam, all glory Srila Prabhupada. Mataji, thank you so much for coming back on the call. Like after a very long time, I'm getting to hear from you again in a very live class. I really like the point where you brought up about special children, right? Because I studied in a school where special children also had a very particular section where they studied together. And one of my teachers, she used to tell us that those mothers are very fortunate who have special children. She would always tell that they have so much of the love that they give to their child, the care that they give to their child. Normal mothers can't give that to their child, like the way they carry them, the way till, I mean, even after they reach the stage of maturity also, like they still take care of their children as they take care of them when they were small babies. So their love is like not changing at all. So the intensity of their love, the amount of care that they give. She was telling that normal mothers are not blessed to give that love, and she was telling that they are very, very blessed to be mothers of such children.
Correct.
So that's one thing that I was reflecting on, that for us it's a reversal when we see that, but her consciousness was so high that she was seeing the love of the mothers even in that state also. So
Yes.
thank you so much for that, Mataji.
And it is very important for us to respect them and respect the children as well as their mothers. And we should not think that, okay, we should, I've seen this happen where some parents, they scare their own children saying that, oh, if you do this, you will become like that kid. Now, this is a very wrong statement, because it hits the heart of people so badly that they just leave Krishna consciousness. They don't want to be in our association. We should be very careful, very, very careful about how we behave, how we talk, what we think in our minds about other children. So, yeah. Thank you for bringing it up, Darshini Mataji. These mothers and these children are very special. They are very, very precious. We should treat them with utmost respect, love, care, and give all that, all the affection that we have, we hold in our hearts to such people. They are very special. That's why they're called special children. Yeah. Thank you, Darshini Mataji. They are the kind of love that those mothers have, nobody can have. That is true. Very true. Yes, Vinita Mataji.
Thank you so much. Dandavat pranams. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Balavinda. So I wanted to say that whenever Krishna was going to the forest, whenever Krishna was going to the forest, Yashoda Maya was having ecstasy and separation, and then whenever Krishna was saying her to go back, she always said that you missed to get your drink and things like that. She was having ecstasy, and she was looking at Krishna's makeup items, and she was having ecstasy and separation. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ranga.
Yes. Sita Preethi Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Mataji. I missed the initial part of the class. I'll again go back with it. And as Mataji said, and you also elaborated on that part. I know it's not much to say because it's everybody's understanding that should work in that matter. But whenever I hear about this, about the how the when we see compassion and when we say like we are caring for the other soul, the special children who are there, I feel like as Mataji said that yes, they are blessed. But like I know it's easy to say when it is a different child, but then that what I feel is like they are so innocent in heart that everything whatever is going on in the world, that doesn't matter. So that ego factor which is there, which is the main cause for us bonding into this material world, that is nowhere over there. And as you said that yes, like nobody should have that as a factor to scare their children or to be that okay, like like to have that as a leverage to say anything for that matter. That respecting which is there, each and every soul needs the same. And I think our scriptures are the best source to go back and understand these things. So really thank you, Mataji, for getting this, because as being a teacher, when I was in the school, I really felt a lot that what else can be done, but really to speak, they don't need anything else. It is not, you cannot do anything else, or you do not need to do anything else. Just like you treat a normal person, if you treat that, that is what
That's
the Lord
enough.
would really want.
Yes,
That's enough, more than enough. They do not need special attention, or
they do.
nothing. Yeah, it is only as if just whatever you're treating your child, you can treat them. You see them
Yeah,
at that same platform. That's more than enough. And
exactly.
again, yeah, and again, it comes back to this that our scriptures are the best and best and best way for understanding how a human being should behave with a human being.
Correct. Agreed, Mataji. You don't even have to see them. You just stop seeing them as different. That's all. That is all.
Right, right, right. So thank you, Mataji. Thank you. And I really feel bad for those people who do not have that compassion or
Yes.
need always improvement in themselves and comparing some with someone else, and making themselves at such a level where they want to bring down someone and then bring up. Like normally it happens. It's not only in outer world, but in Krishna consciousness also we have seen that we had this topic, I guess, in our Madhava group also. Like what lays you off when you with the children, when you go to a satsang, what is that which really disturbs you? And our children had said that when you go to a program and the host child is only going to pay the mridanga, or they are going to be the main people, that also hurts them. So it's same with over here. Like if you see everybody at the same ground, only then things can improve, whether it is Krishna consciousness or whether it is living as a normal human being also. So thank you, Mataji, thank you so much for bringing this point. And nobody else better than you can explain this. Our beautiful Madhava teacher. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare
Thank you
Krishna, Mataji.
for being there as a support always. Hare Krishna. Harita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all girls to Srila Prabhupada. Thanks for such nice session, Mataji, after a long time. Mataji, I literally agree with all the Matajis who have spoken about the special care child, because recently only I came across a child in when I took Adya to swimming class. And when first I saw that kid, suddenly he was big, like they behaved a little bit different. I was just watching. Oh, I did said, and his mother was just beside me. So she saw me. Then I felt so guilty, Mataji. I just prayed for that child that he should become normal, and oh Krishna, help him, because suddenly when I saw, I was in shock, like what that child was doing. But when I saw his mother, I felt literally very bad, that how much pain they feel and how much care they should take care of such child. If we get small thing for our child, we will feel so much pain. Oh my God, what happened? This much stress, this much. But they are going through that for so long, like from born. I don't know till what time they will take care of them like that. So if in front of their pain and their care, nothing is what we do. That's what I felt, and literally it's an eye-opener, Mataji, this class. And thank you for this session, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Harita Mataji. Thank you for opening your heart. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Preethi Vilasini Mataji, thank you so much for such a beautiful class and comparing Yashoda Maya and Sachi Mata always. That is so beautiful when we compare mood of both the mothers. So nice, Mataji, and how you were explaining about the love of Krishna. That initially it is good and later it is so much to take in. It is so beautiful, Mataji, how you are explaining about the eyes and also the sweet. So beautiful class, Mataji. Very grateful to you. Is there anybody having any more questions or realizations? Okay, if there are no more questions or realizations, we can close the call here. Thank you so much. And once again, we can pray for the girl. Mataji, girl's name again.
Madhuri.
Madhuri. Yeah, we can pray for the little girl, and also we can pray for all the devotees. I would like to offer my obeisances to you. Vancha kalpatarobhyasya kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Mataji,
Dandavat pranam, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining. Please pray for Madhuri